Not as good as usual, but I'm coming back.
I hope you didn't take that bait on the long side. I'm short right now.
I am short as well.
Yeah,
I
okay,
was
good.
short at the open. That's why that bait went against me for a little while, so it's coming back now.
Yeah, the spreadsheet had a little bit of a negative bias, just a little bit. Looks like it's turning, so that's what I'm doing. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Cherry. How are you guys? Um, can everybody hear me okay? Randy, good morning. Kurt, Jeff, good to see you guys. Um, good. All right, let's take a look at the markets here. Interesting day. I mean, we just popped right at the open. A big move up here. Um, the spread on the YMNQ initially went higher. I took a look at the spreadsheet and tell me if you saw the same thing, Dan. Is that we've got an 8 on the bell curve here, and it looks like it went from a 1 to an 8, and that's typically where it kind of stops.
Yep, I was thinking that was the top of the curve as well. I think I did a little overnight, plugged in some numbers, and it was showing like a 6, so it was already starting to come back down. That's why my bias was towards the short this morning.
Gotcha. Yep. Mine too, and I saw it pop higher, but I looked at this and I said, it looks like it could be a continuation of the overnight session here to the downside, and that's exactly what happened. But we got a pop higher initially.
Yep, and I paid the price for being too fast, so.
Mm.
If I'd have waited 5 minutes, I would have been golden. But we're okay, so we're still profitable.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
It's moving nicely now.
Yeah, it is, and so we gotta. Here's one thing to look at is on the trigger. When you start to see some negative numbers in the trigger here, and you've got twos, which is a pretty high number in the ROC and the trend. Typically, those high numbers come in the ROC and the trend at the end of a move. So if we go back, like here, 2 and 3, that's like the beginning of the end of that move. Here's a 5 and a 5, and a 4 and a 3. Those are really big numbers. That's probably the end of that move. Just a little extra tip there. All right, so I've got this on C2 on my laptop, so I got to make sure I get out on this position. I'm up 940. I got to switch over here to a 5-minute chart. I did 2 contracts this morning. Yeah, it's moving down nicely. Was there any news this morning that made the market pop?
I did not look.
Yeah,
I try to be blind to that, as we know that the market usually knows what's going to happen before the news announces it. They make the news for whatever they want to say.
Exactly. It is the news that drives the uninformed. They don't know what's going on and they react instead of anticipate.
I did notice there must have been some number came out yesterday around noon, I think it was, noon or 1, where everything just bounced. I wasn't in anything, but I just saw it. I was like, something just announced.
Yeah, I don't know what
I
that
think all
was
4
either.
indexes made a large move up.
Yeah. The nice thing about trading these, and actually I was long the ES and short the RTY this morning. It was just a little bit of a trade. That was actually a pretty decent trade. Let me see if I can pull that up. That had a nice move higher. I did end up taking that right at this 0 line here, and I rode that up. And let's see, where's my? Here we go. I got out on the ES with 175 bucks. RTY down 20, so it's up 155 just on a contract on that. Did not take the YMNQ though. No. Nope. All right, I'm up a decent amount on C2, so I'm just going to go ahead and close that out. I'm over here on my laptop doing that. Get out of my real position. Out of light speed too. Looks like a nice little profit on C2 today. So if you guys are subscribed to C2, nice. Looks like a close to $700 profit on that on C2. So you guys did good today. Up 20% for September.
Boom.
Boom, yeah. When I did the HOLM sessions in the beginning, I said you guys got to have a written plan, written trading plan, and I asked them what their goal was on a percentage basis for the year. And a lot of people said, "Oh, I love to make 10%. I'd love to make 20%." You know. And I said, "Well, I'm doing about 10.2% a month."
Right.
So, you know, it's like 100% a year. And now, with the new tools, especially with the market timer scripts, the SD and the ST scripts, now I'm doing 20% a month.
Yeah, I've been doing like 2% a day.
Yeah, that's crazy. And most people think that's absolutely impossible.
Let them keep thinking that, right?
Let them keep thinking it, yes. All right, so I'm going to get out of these as well. There we go. A little bit of delay on that, I'm not sure. Up 1340 on the day. I was up a little bit less on my real account because I got out a few seconds ago, but that's all right. Anything over $1,000 a day is a pretty nice day.
That's a nice round number to stop at.
It is. It is. And it's still going down. Looks like, I think we did hit the negative side of that bell curve. Or the positive side, rather. And we're starting to come down a little bit here, but yeah. I think that's exactly right. So Eucharist is here. I have to apologize to Eucharist because he had a question about the swing trade video that I did. You are absolutely right, Eucharist. The swing trade video did say that confirmation came from the swing trade or the swing signal algorithm. You're absolutely correct. I apologize for missing that part of your question. You were right. So, but you have to understand though, okay, so I should probably preface all of these videos with it. I'm not a financial advisor and all that, all those disclaimers. This video is to present a strategy, a particular strategy that I use on a regular basis that's consistent and reliable. And so, oh, Charlie says the scripts have made it more consistent. Excellent. Really good. Excellent. Excellent. And Charlie signed up for the private client program. And just to let you guys know, there's one spot available for November. October is filled. There's one spot available for November. And but don't let that stop you because Dan has offered to help do some coaching as well. So if you guys are interested, Dan and I are going to be kind of a tag team, I guess, on some of the coaching sessions and some of the to learn this strategy. So don't hesitate to sign up. But I'm pretty sure that if we take 2 clients in November, maybe 3 at the most. That's probably about the most we can do. Good morning, Eucharist. So, Eucharist, my point is that I did miss that part of your question about the swing signal algorithm. The video did say to actually, confirm with the swing signal algorithm before you make a long or short position. And that is the conservative way to do that particular trade. But you have to understand that when I do those videos, I have to do it really in a very conservative way because I really don't know who is going to be accessing those videos. I did give it away for free, so I want to do it in the most conservative way possible. When I typically trade, I trade like I mentioned on Tuesday, and that is I look at the difference between the third column and the flow. and I kind of measure that to determine whether I should go long or short. The conservative way is to wait for the swing signal algorithm, like I said in the video. So I have to do it in a very conservative way. I can't just say, hey, look, this is, because it's a much more aggressive way that I do it. And I don't actually trade that way anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. I stick strictly with the YMNQ and the ESRTY. So if you guys, this is your hour. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Go ahead and put that in the chat box. If you have something that is really longer, then you can type. I'll unmute you, and you can ask your question audibly. So Chari says, you mean the flow between 90 long and above 100 long? Euchre's question had to do with when the flow dropped below 90, you should go long. And that's the conservative way to do it. So the flow drops below 90, and the swing signal algorithm is also up. And so when you have confirmation from the swing signal algorithm that the trade is going to go higher, then yes, you would take a long position. When it goes above 100 and the swing signal algorithm is down, then you take a short position. That's right. You're welcome. Any other questions, guys? If not, I'm going to show you something I think is really interesting. Hey, I'll ask this question for everybody, including you, Dan. Is anybody in cryptocurrencies at all?
Looked at it myself, but I have not entered anything. I haven't looked at it in the last few weeks.
Okay. Kurt, you are? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I was trying to remember the name of the one that you were talking about. I did a little bit of research on that. Looked definitely more promising than some of the weird ones out there.
Yeah, I did research on it last year. Last September, I was down in D.C. with my son. We were staying at our place down there, and he started talking about cryptocurrencies. And of course, he's like a 20-something, and I'm thinking he doesn't know what he's talking about. And so I said, well, what is he talking about? He goes, Dan, you got to buy some of this. I said, nah, I don't think so. It's not, it looks really, really risky. Of course, futures trading is pretty risky, right? But so I looked into it, and I did my due diligence. I mean, I went through every single coin in the top 100 of CoinMarketCap. And the only one that I found that had that met the criteria that I had designed, and the criteria I designed for cryptocurrencies is adoption, regulatory, and there's no clarity really except for Bitcoin and Ethereum at this point on the SEC regulatory clarity, but did it have an opportunity? Did it have a chance to get some clearance by the SEC? And also use cases. So use cases was a really big deal to me because I found that most cryptocurrencies have no use cases. Ethereum has a lot of apps that are being created on top of Ethereum, but the ones that I saw, there's a marketplace for Ethereum dApps. And there's they're getting very little traction. They've got a couple hundred users each. There's really not much traction there. There's no real big use cases. The only one I found that had any kind of really big use case, and by use case I mean something that actually solves a big problem in the marketplace, is XRP. So I've been tracking XRP. I started buying it last October. If we go all the way back here, was right about in here. I started buying it at about 20 cents. Bought some more at 25. In fact, I bought all the way through December, and then it just took off. I mean, it just absolutely took off. So it went from 21 cents or 25 cents all the way up to about $3.20. And of course, since then, we have been in a bear market in cryptocurrencies. All the currencies have been down. But as you can see, we're in a declining wedge here on XRP. And I haven't purchased any XRP since April. But I saw this declining wedge pattern, and I started buying a few days ago, right when it was around 26, 27 cents. And it broke out of that declining wedge pattern. So, I mean, it's had bull runs before where it just kind of went up and then it faded and it went up and then faded. I think this has some staying power. Just my opinion. Like I said, this is not financial advice, but I'm in a pretty big way with XRP. Just my 2 cents. There's a couple of advantages that XRP has over all the other crypto coins, because a lot of the crypto coins, and this is one of the disadvantages too, because, you know, people who love Bitcoin are saying that, you know, XRP is not a cryptocurrency. And I agree, it's not. It's not a cryptocurrency. It is a digital asset. Eucharist asks, Dave, how can we get the information about private coaching with you, Dan? Just go ahead and email me at dave@tradingology.com. And I'll put it in the chat box, and I'll send you all the details. Charlie, you're asking what is the ticker? What is the ticker for XRP?
XRP. I think she's talking XRP.
It's not traded on any of the exchanges yet. However, the NASDAQ has just announced, just like a few weeks ago, that they are opening a cryptocurrency trading desk, and that they will start trading cryptocurrencies over the NASDAQ exchange, which is pretty exciting. For most of these type of assets, these digital assets, it's actually kind of a pain to go out and buy them. I buy mine on Bitstamp, which is located in London. There's Coinbase in the United States, but they don't trade XRP directly. You have to actually buy Bitcoin or Ethereum or one of the other coins first and then convert it to XRP on Bitstamp. There's Uphold now. Uphold is a US-based cryptocurrency exchange, but I live in New York, and in order to do that in New York, you have to have a BIT license, and New York does not have a BIT license yet. So I have to go through Bitstamp in London in order to buy XRP directly. Yeah, no problem, Eucharist. Absolutely. So anyway, this is, it was kind of interesting because, see, the use cases for XRP are really kind of amazing. Number one is they can settle transactions in 3 seconds. And so they have the Ripple, the company, who doesn't really have any control over XRP. XRP is kind of like, you can think of cryptocurrencies and digital assets right now as the next step of the internet. At least that's the way I see it. It's like building it's building on top of the internet. And so what it does is it allows people to make transactions very, very quickly over the internet. And XRP was specifically designed to allow cross-border transactions to happen very quickly. So if you're in the United States and you have family in India, for example, and you wanted to send money to your family in India, there aren't a lot of really good choices, except for maybe Western Union, which charges enormous fees. I've seen some people say that they sent $100 to their family in India and it cost them like $40. So the fees are absolutely enormous. But what a lot of financial institutions are doing, including Western Union, are looking at using XRP as a digital asset bridge currency. So they'll go from US dollars to XRP to the Indian, what is it, rupee? Something like that. Yeah, I think so. And so when they do that, they can go from the US dollars to XRP directly into the rupee for, pennies. So instead of $100 transfer costing you $40 in fees, it would cost you maybe a couple of bucks. So that's a huge, huge savings. So anyway, I'm quite bullish on XRP. That's just my opinion, as I said. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead,
I did some
Dan.
research on that too, quick, Dave. But even the ones that people are interested in trading, the ones that are on the exchanges, look at the commission rates for them. They're ridiculous.
Yes.
Like $50 to trade Bitcoin if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Actually, in one of my previous lives, I worked with the first company that actually regulated Bitcoin that was more from my IT world, but it was interesting getting an insight into just talking to them and what they were doing. They're actually part of the first regulation being able to trade that.
Really? It's interesting. Yeah, the big thing with most of these the cryptocurrencies today is the custody issue. So, in stock trading, when you trade a stock, there's a clearing corporation, and then there's custody services that make sure that your stock is safe. And with cryptocurrencies, there's no such thing. You read every single day that cryptocurrency exchanges are getting hacked and people are losing their holdings. Well, institutions can't make those kind of investments if there's a risk of loss by being hacked. And so just recently, there was a company called BitCo, who got South Dakota, I think it's South Dakota regulatory approval to act as a custodian for cryptocurrencies. And so it's kind of starting that more and more custody services are becoming available to institutional investors who want to invest in these cryptocurrencies. So that's a really positive, a very, very positive development in the cryptocurrency space, because without that, institutional investors really can't make that kind of investment. And in order for the market, I think, to really move, that's got to happen.
I see Mike's got a question there, yeah.
Yeah, Dave, I noticed you haven't ruled out the next quarter's contracts. On the NQYM?
Yeah, we're actually trading Z's. You got U's showing up in your paper account.
Oh, that's for the these are the buttons I trade with. They're all Z's, but yeah,
Right,
on
yeah,
these indicators for SD and for SD and for the NQ and the YM, I didn't change over yet. Just for you guys who are new, I don't use TOS to trade. I only use it for the indicators. Some people are using interactive brokers. I use Lightspeed. I keep losing that window. There we go. So yes, it's Z. Everybody should have transferred over to the Z contracts last Thursday and Friday. I am using the Z contracts. I started using the Z contracts on Collective 2, by the way. If you guys, there's my drink, my healthy drink today. I'm trying to eat much more healthy. Of course, I've been doing that for years, but oh my gosh, when I was in my 30s and 40s, I used to eat anything I wanted to. I wouldn't gain weight. And then as soon as I hit 50, it didn't matter what I ate, I always gained weight. It didn't matter. But anyway. So Collective 2 is using the Z contracts. And yeah, all you guys should be using Z. Let's see, there's a couple questions up here. Let's take a look. Yeah, so yes, absolutely. Mike, you got to use the Z contracts. Trading next month, graphs in last quarters. Okay. So yeah, we're good to go now, I think. So what I do is I put a little highlight around that 5-minute bar because I want to see the relative strength of both the YMN and Q. Whoops, I got that up there. And so when I do this, my computer is lagging. Sometimes Uber conference really makes my computer lag. I probably should also go to the collect garbage.
Garbage day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my computer is lagging. Awful. Let's see. Cherry asks, have you seen any payout issues on profits you made from Bitstamp? I buy and hold. I have not traded XRP. I buy it and I'm holding it. I'm not trading it. Cryptocurrencies is not something I'm interested in trading. And my wife asked me, she goes, well, geez, you could buy XRP at 20 cents and then sell it at 30. And I said, you know what? I don't have an edge in that market. In cryptocurrencies, you're talking about pure price action. You're just looking at a chart. I'm in it for the long term. So I'm just buying and holding. I'm not taking any profits out of Bitstamp. I can sell. I have sold other cryptocurrencies on Bitstamp, but only to convert them into XRP. So in other words, there's a limit on Bitstamp of, I don't know what it is, but I think it's about 15,000 a month. And I ran into that a couple of times. So instead of waiting for my limit to go back and reset, I go to Coinbase. I buy Ethereum because it has lower fees and I can actually purchase it quicker than Bitcoin because Bitcoin sometimes it took a couple hours to settle my transaction in Bitcoin. So I bought Ethereum, and then what I did was I sent it to my Bitstamp address and then bought more XRP with it. So I've never had any problems with Bitstamp, but I haven't taken any profits out of it yet. What I'm hoping for is that Uphold gets their Bit license in New York, because that's where my primary residence is. And hopefully they will get their Bit license. I can upload my XRP to Uphold and then simply cash out there. But I keep everything on a Ledger Nano S. If you guys do anything at all with cryptocurrencies, I highly suggest that you use an offline wallet. What they call cold storage, Dan? You call it cold storage, right?
Yeah, some people describe it that way.
Yep. So it's not on an exchange. I have it on a cold storage wallet, which is a device. And I'll type that in here.
And if you buy one, buy it directly from the manufacturer. Don't buy it on Amazon.
Yes, exactly. Dan is bringing up an important point because evidently some people have tampered with the Ledger Nano S and then tried to resell it on Amazon or eBay, and they put some way of, I don't know. I'm not sure how they capture your cryptocurrency, but they have a way of doing it, I guess. Uger says, I have discussed several times with Collective 2, and they confirmed and reconfirmed that the investor who subscribed to a trade leader strategy without using auto trading, if logged into the Collective 2 site, can get a trade signal in very real time. Yep. They sent me a short 2-minute video how this can be done, should anyone wish to see it. Okay, cool. You can get the trade signal most definitely, I think, in real time. It's the price of the instruments that is delayed 20 minutes. So if you want to get a quote on the actual instruments as a trade leader, when I'm actually trading it, they're delayed 20 minutes. So that's why I'm using the paper trading account here to just keep track of the actual P&L on Collective 2. Keith, Dave, what data do you track and log for review? In what capacity, Keith?
Looks like he's talking about the arb trade, just history, which you can kind of see on C2, right? You can see opens and closes.
Yes, in fact, that's exactly why I started the Collective 2, so I didn't have to share my brokerage statements with anybody. People keep asking me for my brokerage statements. No, I'm not sharing my brokerage statements. You know, that's ridiculous. I don't know. You could X-ray them or something and get my account number. I don't know. I'm paranoid. But the so that's why I started Collective 2. On Collective 2, pretty sure I have the link in here someplace. I think that's it right there. So if you go to that link, Keith, that's the trading log. So, oops, I actually did open that. Yeah. So that's the trading log. All of the trades that I've done since July 9th are in there. If you scroll down beyond the graph, down to the bottom, you can see every single trade. It has the date, time, the symbol, the description, whether I was short or long, the quantity, average entry price, close date, time, the drawdown, and the P&L, net P&L. In fact, that's the reason that I started Collective 2 in the beginning, was just to have that public record of the system. You got any plans this weekend, Dan?
We're going to they call it September Fest. So they have 2 bands playing in one of the neighboring cities. So we're going to go to an outside little concert.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds really nice.
I haven't done that in quite a while, so it'll be fun.
Yeah. You can
It's going to be cold, though, here. They're talking lows in like 39.
Oh, no.
Friday night. It's crazy.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible. Because you know why? You know why
I live in Minnesota.
Yeah, but you know why that's so terrible for me?
Why is that?
Because especially when winter comes around, I always look at the weather in Minnesota, because usually a few days later we get it here in New York.
You track your way.
Yeah. I know whatever you guys get is coming my way.
Yeah, never fear, because we'll be 75 the day after that. So if you don't like the weather here, just wait a day. It will change.
Okay, good. Yeah. I was in Minnesota, or in Minneapolis a few years ago, and it was in the middle of January, and it was incredibly cold. I was there for a conference. So how far are you from Minnesota?
Minneapolis, I'm 20 minutes away from Minneapolis. I'm just in the south suburbs of the Twin Cities. That's
Oh, wow.
Here.
Okay, great. So you probably know this then already. So I was there in the middle of the winter, and the snow was coming down, and it was free. I mean, it was below zero outside, and I was at the conference hotel, and so it was time to grab some lunch. So me and a couple other people we said, well, none of us were from Minnesota, none of us were from Minneapolis, and so we opened the doors to go outside, and we're like freezing on the street, right? And we're walking towards the restaurant, and we don't see anybody walking on the street. See, wow, people don't go out very much around here. You know, I guess it's too cold. They all stay in their offices and eat from their desks or something. And so we got so cold that we ducked into this store because we just couldn't take it. It was just too cold. And so we said, we asked somebody, I think it was one of the clerks, and we said, how come there's nobody walking out on the street? And they said, well, everybody takes the tunnels and the bridges and stuff like that. There's like this underground system in Minneapolis where you can walk just about anywhere in the downtown area without going outside.
Yep, the skyways and the tunnels.
Yep.
We call it your habit trails.
Yep. And we said, wow, I'm glad we found out about this before we got frostbite. So Eucharist says, so strictly speaking, one can file and take your trades and subscribe to your strategy in real time and collect it to you, even if the trades are very short. Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely correct, Eucharist. Yep.
Mike, yeah. All kinds of fun up here.
Dave, I was stationed. You were at Griffiths, yeah, back in the 70s. Yes, we do have very nasty winters, although last winter was really, really horrible, but the 3 years before that were pretty mild. But we do not have the kind of snow, Mike, that you saw back in the 70s. I mean, when I was a kid, when I was in grade school in the 60s in Utica, we used to have snow that was at least, I'm going to say 8-9 feet high. They were really bad. I've got pictures of when I was a kid and in my backyard, and it covered the fences. I mean, it was just absolutely incredible. We haven't had winters like that though in a long, long time. They've gotten much more mild. I'm not sure why. Probably the jet stream. But Griffiths, what'd you do at Griffiths, Mike? You know, the nice thing about these trades, Dan, as you already know, is you make your money, you're in and out, and you can enjoy the rest of your day.
Mm-hmm. Today was a longer day than usual.
Are you still in that short position?
Nope, I exited.
Okay, good. Yeah, you remember it well. They used the giant, really big ones. Yep, all the way up to Watertown, yeah. Yep, that's right. Watertown and that area, my brother used to live in Adams, which is very, very close to Watertown. He's out in Salt Lake City now, but he used to live in Adams, and they still get really big snowstorms. Lots and lots of snow up there. 49th Fighter Squadron. Oh, cool. Cool. Where do you live now, Mike? Everybody keeps telling me I need to move to Texas, or everybody loves Texas. Everybody who's from Texas says it's great. Have you been to Texas?
You don't want Texas.
What's that?
You don't want Texas.
No? How come?
Too hot.
Too hot. Yeah. That's one thing I can't take. If it's a dry heat, though, I think I'd be all right. It's the kind of Florida.
That's the problem.
Yeah. I won't even go to D.C. I won't go to my place in D.C. in the summer because it's too humid.
What's he got here? 19. So yesterday's video, he's talking about the spread and the ratio.
Oh,
Did
you're
we
in,
lose Dave? Oh, there he is.
yeah, you're in Bethlehem, huh? Okay. Yeah, I don't go there, but my son has clients there. My son does consulting for some big companies, big pharmaceutical companies, and he travels to Bethlehem once in a while. He likes it. He said that's a really nice area. Okay, so Euchre says in his video on the 19th at the top right of the screen, YMNQ 15-minute chart 3.46. What's the use of having the two values, different values? I think it was probably he just updated. Oh yeah, top left, yeah. See what happens is let's see. What I did was I said, where is that? Here it is. So what I did was I set up two windows here with the current ratio. So I used the market timer script, which is the ratio script. It says YMNQ, but actually in the gearbox, if you go to the gearbox, whoops, not that gearbox, the gearbox for the study, you can go into this gearbox here and you can change the symbols. And so what I did was I have ESRTY and I have YMNQ. Just remember though that the ratios that they give you, like right now the ratio on the YMNQ is 3.5077 and the ESRTY is 1.708. It doesn't matter what you put into these windows up here. It's only a form of measurement. So in order, right now with the YMNQ, I've got the 3.5123, which is what I started with this morning, just entering it when I got up in the morning. It's just basically a visual clue of, hey, are we positive or negative on the spread? That's all it is. So there's nothing really that would affect your trading as to whether it's going up or down. I only use it as a kind of a baseline for when I get up and I want to see if the spread has gone higher or lower from the moment that I actually started to look at it. So there's no real magic to those at all. It's just a unit of measurement, so I can tell if it's positive or negative. It's a great video indeed. Right, noted with thanks, makes sense. Okay, good. I'm glad. Hey, Mike, you're going to be in Utica in a few weeks. Really? Yeah, that's right. Don't you have? Yeah, you have some relatives here, don't you? That's cool. Just email me at davidtradingology.com. I'd love to have a cup of coffee with you or something, or have a bite to eat if you got the time. I'm likely to be, what week is that? Because the October 14th to the 21st, I'm going to be in Charlotte, South Carolina. Just taking a little R&R.
Bring your hip waders. They got a little bit of rain over there.
Yeah, I'm hopefully it'll all be gone by then. But I hear they're still getting hit pretty hard though. Even now. I thought I saw a news story this morning saying that it's going inland and some parts are getting hit pretty hard.
Yeah, I saw Virginia had about 9 tornadoes, I think it was Tuesday or so.
Wow. I don't know. I spent a summer and part of the fall in Albuquerque, New Mexico, just south of Albuquerque, when I was in my early 20s, and I loved it. It was hot. I mean, it was 105 degrees out, but it was a very dry heat, and so I actually really liked it. You know the thing
I
that
have an uncle
bothered.
that lives there.
What's that?
I have an uncle that lives in Albuquerque. Yeah, it's much drier there. The more central you get, that's where the humidity starts.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was outside a lot, and people kept telling me, "Well, you got to drink water. You got to drink water." I said, "Well, I'm not sweating." They said because the sweat will evaporate right off your skin as soon as it comes to the surface. I said, "Oh." So I'm glad they told me that because otherwise I probably would have been dehydrated. Oh, 26th to 29th. Awesome. Well, I hope if you have a couple of minutes, yeah, please shoot me an email and let me know. I'd love to meet with you for sure. Okay. Any other questions, guys? This time is for you, so you can use it and ask some questions. I would investigate, do your due diligence on XRP. The thing with XRP is they do have 10% of the company of Ripple that does the software for cross-border transactions with financial institutions is owned by SBI in Japan. And so they have a foothold in the Asian markets. And there's a large adoption, I think. And there's a huge push in Asia to use cryptocurrencies or blockchain technology for payments. And so I think that's going to drive the price before we even get it here in the United States. The regulatory situation in Japan and Thailand and Australia is much more favorable towards cryptocurrencies and digital assets in general. So far, the U.S. is dragging a little bit. Malta has embraced blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Did you hear this, Dan?
No.
Yeah, Malta is like the capital of cryptocurrencies. They initiated some regulations saying that, hey, we welcome cryptocurrencies, we welcome digital blockchains, blockchain technology companies, and we're opening our borders to anybody who wants to come and start a company here. So
Wow.
Malta is like now the world capital of blockchain.
Good reason to go visit.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Eucharist says, thanks for the excellent service. Indeed, appreciate it. No problem, Eucharist. Jeff says, can you go through what happened at the open on the YMNQ arb trade and why we should have went short? Sure. Be happy to do that. So the very first thing for me is to take a look at the spreadsheet. Because what it does is it gives me a bias for the day. I need to know where we are in the spreadsheet on a closing basis from the previous day to kind of prepare for the next day. And so when I look at the spreadsheet, I see that the bell curve, the first thing I look at is the bell curve. Now, all of these columns are important, but the first thing that I look at is the bell curve. When I see the bell curve expanding like it has, I'm anticipating a peak in the bell curve, and then that will give me a clue that the spread is going to start to go the other way. So in this case, the short volatility arbitrage spread peaked here when the bell curve was at 8. Even though we were completely negative across the board here, the ROC and the trend started turning positive, but more importantly is the peak here. So the very next day, we saw the bell curve starting to come down. We had a positive volatility spread. And, there wasn't much here to give us any clues, but I was anticipating that the spread would go positive. And so I'm looking for that on the next day's open. Right now, today, my analysis indicated that, again, typically an 8 or a 7 is the peak of the bell curve. And so I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the ROC and the trend starting to turn positive. We've got they're still positive, but they're at a higher number. So a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or a 5, kind of like the way it was up here, a higher number in the ROC in the trend indicates an extreme high, and a change of trend is probably imminent. So I look at that, and I also look at the trigger. Now the trigger typically doesn't really give me much of a clue until we start to see the peak in the bell curve. So when that starts to turn negative, and I look at the bell curve and I start to see that as a peak, then I'm thinking, okay, there's a possibility that there's going to be a change in the spread from what has been positive generally to a negative trend. So that's the very first thing I look at. The second thing I look at is when I pull up the chart of the YMNQ, I'm also looking at a longer term chart, and I'm kind of looking at what the trend is. So it looks like we based here and the trend started up higher, but one of the things that I do look at is the distance here for this deviation moving average. So one of the things I look at is this deviation moving average, which is in the Thinkorswim as a deviation scaled moving average. That one right there. And typically when it gets a little bit too far away from that, like it did here, I'm anticipating that it's going to come back to the standard deviation moving average. So, I mean, all of these little things kind of add up to what I would consider to be a negative bias today. That's why I waited at the open, because if we go down to a 5-minute chart, the open was very, very positive. I mean, it just shot straight up. But based on the indication from the spreadsheet, it would suggest to me that the long position is probably at an end. And so I don't want to chase that price. I don't want to chase that. I want to wait and see if it stabilizes here or we get a big bar down. So we got a big bar down here. And once we get a big bar down, I'm thinking, okay, this may not last. I know that this is a transition from a positive, from a long position, which is long YM, short NQ, to potentially a short position based on the spreadsheet. And so that's what I was waiting for this morning. So I didn't get in until about, I think I was right here, 52.28. I got in there short, right there. That was my mark. So when I get into the short position, I said it retraced. So it went up, it retraced more than 50%. At that point, that's kind of my trigger. So I went short at that point. And that's what happened. Hopefully that was helpful, Jeff. Good. Excellent. Glad to help. All right, guys. I want you guys to have an absolutely excellent weekend. Dan, it sounds like you got some exciting stuff coming up here. That sounds pretty interesting, actually.
Absolutely. It'll be a great time.
Good.
It's always nice when the weekends come around because then you can't trade. You just have to do fun things.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you got how many children?
3.
Oh, man.
And a brand new granddaughter this week or last week.
Yeah, congratulations on that again. That is really, really
Thank you.
good. I just had my first granddaughter 3 years ago. My oldest son is now expecting with his wife, and we're going to have our second grandchild next March.
It's much more fun being a grandfather than the father.
It is. It is. You're absolutely right about that. I think there's no pressure with the grandchildren, you know? I mean, it's like you can just have a really fun time with them.
Yep, then they go home.
Exactly, yeah. They go home.
Well,
you don't have to.
congratulations, Jeff, and thanks, Sherry.
Yeah.
Looks like Jeff just became a grandpa, too.
This morning, Jeff. Holy cow! Congrats, man. That's awesome. Good for you. Good for you. All right, guys. Hope everybody has. You have 3. Oh, you have 3 children and a grandson too. Oh, nice. Grandson is pampered. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. You guys have a great day and a great weekend. And yeah, no problem, Mike. Have a great weekend. Hopefully, I'll see you when you come to Utica. Otherwise, guys, have a great weekend, and we'll see you again on Tuesday.
Take care, everyone.